Is anyone else going through a really shitty period in their life? Yes. Me. In 2019, my dad died. My mid-20s sister had a mini stroke. In 2020, global pandemic. Lost 2 jobs. Ended a long-term relationship. In 2021, my mom has to have surgery to remove cancerous cells. I'm half expecting a nuclear apocalypse the way things are going. Yes. My life often feels like it's stuck on hard mode. And it's not depression. It's just literally that more shit happens to me. A good friend said the other day, "Why can't you catch a break? So other people see it too." I'm very busy and positive and I work my ass off to make it all okay, but I've had a tough time. I cried the other day and my dad said, "You're a gentle person in a hard life, and TBH that is how it feels. It fucking sucks. But I am bloody well going to turn it around. Even if it kills me. I think adult life is hard. And if one big thing goes badly wrong, it can have a cascade of effects that are long-lasting and extremely hard to bounce back from." My 2015 to 2020 or so was terrible. Husband passed unexpectedly at 31. My new boss tried to fire me from my job of 11 years. I took a transfer instead. Met a nice fella. Got pregnant. Work provided 0 accommodations and my doctors were crap. Stillbirth at 25 weeks. That's when I learned FMLA doesn't cover stillbirth. My work offered me a 15-cent raise to come back. Got a different job but couldn't keep up. Had my daughter. 5 months later a tree fell on our house. Have to live with my formerly abusive parents for a year. Quit that job by not showing up because they were planning to fire me. We bought a house. It's better than anything either of us has ever had. Daughter is great. Bills are paid. I work from home. Time has a way of turning things around, I suppose. Just gotta wait out the shitty parts. Let's see, I was illegally fired from my job. Hired a lawyer and had to threaten to sue to get rehired. But as a new hire, so I lost all the merit raises I had acquired and with legal fees and savings I had to spend because no one would hire me while I was investigated by the state nursing board. I lost about $18,000. I went back to the same job but was being harassed by MGMT. That didn't want me rehired but was forced to. So I arranged a transfer to a sister facility in Houston and moved into a home owned by all old friend as a roommate. 3 months later I was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. Started chemo and radiation. Since I didn't have much sick leave built up, I was docked over a month's pay before they approved FMLA and additional sick leave. I had surgery to remove lower part of my esophagus and upper part of my stomach. They discovered active cancer in the excised tissue, so I'm starting another round of chemo. My housemate came home one day and told me she'd been fired over performance issues as an accountant. She revealed that she had very little savings. So if she doesn't find a job soon we face eviction since I'm renting half the house from her. I have savings but I'm in no condition to pack and move. The chemo blues. So my condolences. I understand how you feel. You and me both. Here's to looking ahead. After reading these terrible experiences people have had, it's made me realize my life is not half as bad as I thought it was at the moment. People have it really much rougher than you think. GRs were cancer. Husband job loss. Son job loss. Husband sick. Mother heart attack. Mill stroke. Daughter job loss. Sill business died. At one point, I had my aunt do a ritual to remove the evil eye. Didn't die. So maybe it worked. House market seems good. Everyone over 16 is vaccinated. I'm telling myself life has turned. definitely me. I'm at my rock bottom. It's the first time I acknowledged it. I have never felt so terrible in my entire life. I work on a children's cancer ward and think about our patients every time I feel like I have nothing but bad luck. Last year I was in the hospital I think 3 to 4 times for my heart transplant. Then a blood clot in my leg and lungs, and then a medium-sized kidney stone. But now life is looking good. I'm alive and kicking. Had my heart transplant for 15.5 years. TW. Suicide. The last 8 years of my life. I became a shell of my former self. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Lost my ability to work. Couldn't afford proper healthcare. Kept getting turned down for disability. Was in a toxic relationship. Lost most of everything I had. Felt like a burden to my family. Gained 50 pounds due to a medication. The only work I could do was transcription online for $3 an hour. And my mom got cancer. My bipolar symptoms made it difficult just to function. So I struggled with simple tasks like bathing and brushing my teeth. I had agoraphobia and couldn't leave the house. Then when I attempted suicide, my doctor cut me off of some of the medications that helped me the most and made my life bearable. So I felt even worse and was able to function even less. I felt that once my parents were gone, I'd just end up homeless on the street. I had no hope for my life and figured I'd take myself out once my parents were gone. I completely gave up. Only my love for my family and my birds kept me on this earth. Then after 4 tries, I got approved for disability. I had money coming in and insurance. I was able to see a better doctor who changed my medication. And I was able to get better medication. BC insurance was paying for it. Whereas before I was limited to the cheapest medication. I felt like a new person. Because I had money coming in. I had power to change things in my life. I no longer had to fear that one day I wouldn't be able to get my medicine. It changed everything. Now I have a completely different outlook on life. And I'm so glad I didn't succeed in suicide. I wish I could have known before that things would get better. I know you're going through a bad time. But please don't give up. Because you never know when things could turn around. Just keep fighting. Sometimes the absolute most you can manage to do is just stay alive. And that's okay. That's enough. Last decade for me. Lost more family members than I can count on both hands. Divorce. Haven't seen my son in almost 2 years. Lost both jobs. Had heart attack. Losing function in my legs and back as well as my mental health deteriorating, so I am in a wheelchair. A lot and sometimes can't even talk, but who knows how long SSI will take. Losing my house this month. I just wish I wouldn't wake up. I am tired of being a burden to everyone and I miss my family and I am going to miss my home. My dad had a stroke 3 years ago. He was completely independent and ended up completely helpless. And experiencing cognitive decline. He wanted to subdivide the property. And couldn't go to the hearing because he was in the hospital. Our neighbor went door to door. In protest. And showed up at the hearing to get it denied. She's been looking up ordinances to find what we might have violated and reports them. She won't leave us alone. He fell into a depression. Convinced he wouldn't get better. And deteriorated. I was trying to finish college and work full-time. I ended up giving up my life. I was in my late 20s. I was suddenly thrown into a world of responsibilities. Without guidance. Or support. My sister couldn't handle dealing with him. And he wasn't competent enough to help me. My boyfriend, despite trying to help, gave up and I did it alone. I stopped school, stopped going out, and fell into a toxic environment that cycled between caring for a man who wouldn't make the effort, to try and from the brain deterioration became sometimes emotionally abusive and cruel. My boyfriend of 11 years almost left me from the stress. Dad threatened suicide and said it would be my fault. I made the call. He got shipped to a psych facility and refused to tell me where. I lost him for 3 days. A lot of shady shit happened that violated his rights and I could do little to stop it. They made him undergo 3 rounds of ECT before I could intervene for good. It made him worse. I knew it would. My sister has been in and out of the hospital for severe gastro issues. She starved there for a month. She has over 30 diagnoses and about 20 meds. She has a strong aversion to food because of the gastro pain and nausea. She can't sustainably live. I worry I'm going to lose her. They sent a psych in, and I had to fight him on her treatment. My mom panicked and totaled my sister's car. Their house is being seized because the town wants to build affordable housing. The irony being mom doesn't make enough in disability to afford those apartments. I've had to partially support my sister financially. She lost her job because of the frequent hospital trips and doctor's appointments. She's been repeatedly denied disability despite not being able to keep a job because of her health issues. My parents divorced about 20 years ago and are fighting over a stupid little lot behind the house. The town is seizing. I had to take over Dad's finances and he wouldn't give me financial POA. I only got medical to stop the ECT. Speaking of psych facilities, I also had to call on my friend who moved in with us for a year. She has severe schizophrenia and screamed at ghosts raping her for at least 8 hours a day. I'm fortunate that I'm small and look sort of helpless, I guess. I was able to do a lot without POA. And probably because I was respectful and asked nicely. It was still incredibly difficult. I found out my dad might not really own the house. The lawyer I consulted advised me to take the contract to the county prosecutor to interpret. A tree fell on Mom's house. My truck broke. I had 2 dental abscesses and was diagnosed with endometriosis. My dog had bladder stones and needed emergency surgery. I work in a hospital. And COVID made it difficult. I was constantly anxious, worried I would bring it home. Seeing the black boxes in the halls was harrowing. Walking through the ICUs was incredibly disturbing. About 6 months ago, Dad had a second stroke and lost his ability to speak and swallow. On top of his already existing deficits that rendered him bedbound from the first, I was forced to relinquish him to a nursing home, where he had 3 mini strokes. They released him because Medicare stopped covering it. He was 6'4". I'm 5 feet. He fell out of bed the day he came home. Then he was sent to another facility where he caught COVID. I visited him weekly, but couldn't have physical contact. Not even a hug. Because of this pandemic, he needed me then more than ever. I can't imagine what he must have gone through. He couldn't walk, speak, and had a diet he hated because of his swallowing issues. His vision and hearing got worse. He was starting to get more confused, which was the last thing he told me on the phone before he wasn't able to use it anymore. My sister ended up in the hospital last month for yet another possible bowel obstruction. While visiting her, I got the call that my dad was found unresponsive. I met him in the ambulance bay. He had a hemorrhagic stroke in his brainstem. He wasn't conscious. All I could do was wait for him to pass. I never left his side. This was almost a month ago. I lost the person I loved the most. This is only what I can piece together from prior Reddit posts. I can't remember it all. I understand completely that you just end up waiting for the next disaster. You wonder what's left to take. And then stop asking because life keeps finding something. Hang in there. I think everyone goes through periods sometimes years long, where they feel cursed, and like everything is wrong. I can empathize with you completely on this because I'm going through one myself right now. Which does not help my fight with depression. Some things I've noticed about those periods though. They are both situational, caused by outside sources, and perspective-based. So, on the one hand, intellectually I know I'm lucky as hell to have had a steady job over the past year. But due to the fact it is factory work in a COVID pandemic with us constantly covering multiple people out on preventative quarantines and having excessive mandatory overtime, it sure as hell doesn't feel that way. I see others working from home and feel like I got the short end of the stick even though logically, I know that isn't true. How you feel about a situation doesn't always show the reality of a situation. Being tired, being malnutritioned, dehydrated, lacking exercise and being under or overstimulated, bored or stressed, can also cause those illogical feelings. I think it's a way for our bodies to tell us we aren't meeting our basic needs but doesn't translate well in our modern world. Those are my ponderings on it over the years anyway. Take it for what it's worth as a random reply from a Reddit poster. XD. I was for a while. My bro was Kia in Afghanistan. My wife developed schizophrenia after a head injury and went through a divorce after she tried to kill me. My mother took a turn for the worst with breast cancer and died at 55. Then my job fired me after I went to her funeral. All within 2 years. Then pandemic hit a year later. Life just sucks all at once sometimes. But it goes on. If it rains, it pours, they say. Some rain clouds stay longer than others. Remain brave, brothers and sisters. The sun will come shining through some day. After reading all comments, I'm feeling like my problems are not actually problems. Yes, me. Sometimes it seems unbelievable all the bad events and situations that have happened in my life. I told someone the other day, hey, do you think I'm the modern day Job from the Bible? Because if so, God really lost this one, lol. I've kinda accepted that things will trend badly. Trust me, you're not alone. I know exactly what you mean. Paralyzed myself in a car wreck in 2015 at the ripe age of 21. Fiancé broke things off after I sunk my whole working wage into our house. Homeless and living in a nursing home with bone infection galore now. Which is a lot worse after COVID because I can't leave or even order outside food or visits. But I still have my arms to do whatever I please with. I didn't kill anyone with my drunk driving. There are others who have to ask for someone to wipe their ass and brush their teeth due to being completely quadriplegic. Even more who are brain damaged or living with the guilt of hurting someone. And that ex-fiancée lost her youngest son a year or so back to a gun accident. It's subjective to me. I am doing bad but not as bad as it gets. Wish you the best of luck and prosperities op. Always reach out for a friend when you feel like you need it the most. Waiting lists for psychologists are in an all-time high where I'm from. It's not a clear answer to your question, but definitely a strong signal that things are indeed a bit worse than usual for a lot of people.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.